Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Jay's Fit Down podcast. I am your host, Jay, and today we're going to be continuing our 2023 season in reviews of the Chicago Bears. Yesterday and today we're going to be focused on the Atlanta Falcons. You know, um, this should be very interesting. But yeah, we're talking about the Falcons today and, just kind of recapping the 2023 season for them and what they need to do to, not be mid, and actually maybe probably make the playoffs and have a winning season for the first time in 3 years. Um, or I mean, yeah, actually in 7 years because they haven't won. They haven't had a winning record in 7 years since 17 when they went 10-6 and made to the divisional round, lost against the Eagles. But regardless, I still have to say, let's get started here. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you follow us on IG. We're on TikTok, we're on Twitter, all those platforms. So make sure you follow the page there, and we got content coming out, weekly. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But yeah, so the Falcons. Falcons finished 7-10 last year, as we all know. Arthur Smith was hired to be the head coach in 2021, and since then they just have been just mediocre. They haven't won like more than 7 games in the last 3 years. And Arthur Smith had a tendency to be very he had a very peculiar style of play calling, very strange. Didn't like to involve his playmakers a lot. Like for instance, if Arthur Smith is your offensive play caller for your team, if he's your offensive coordinator or your head coach or whatever, like and he's calling your plays, you could say, for example, Devontae Adams is on your team, right? So, but he's throwing the ball like Devontae Adams has 2 targets and 2 catches, and uh, you know Bob Smith over here has like 10 catches, uh, 100 yards and like a touchdown. Like, but he, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not. You're getting production, but it's from the wrong people. Like, you want your star players to make plays. You want them to produce. You need them to produce for your offense. That's what they're there for. And for the Falcons, like Arthur Smith did not get the ball to Kyle Pitts. Rarely, he didn't get the ball to Kyle Pitts. He didn't get the ball to Bijan Robinson earlier on in the year. And it wasn't until kind of later where he started getting more touches by that. But by that point in time, it was too late. And so for the Falcons, it was a good thing for them to get rid of Arthur Smith. He just was not a good head coach. It really, to me, I mean, not even that impressive a play caller, if you to be honest. You know what I mean? Because he, like I said, you got a talented offense here with the Falcons. You had Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London. All great emerging players, and he couldn't like. I mean, the offense just was very mediocre. That's the best way I could describe it. Now, at the same time, too, some of that blame goes to Desmond Ritter, who started quarterback for the Falcons, who threw 12 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. I've never seen a stat line like that. Like he is like a perfectly in sync like touchdown interception ratio. That's just like as balanced as you will get. Like that's just like, I mean, I've never seen anything like that in my life. And Desmond Ritter is the definition of mid. I mean, and the thing about it is, like he will get the team, he'll get them down to the red zone. Like he's like he could be a decent quarterback in this league, but he cannot like keep the ball in possession. He always turns the football over. Desmond Ritter had in every game that he played this year. He started. I want to say he played in like 13 games, if I'm not mistaken. But he started most of the year, and in each game that he played, in each game that he started, he threw an interception or he fumbled. It was one of the two. There was never a game that Desmond Ritter did not play this year and he didn't turn the ball over. You can't do that. If you're a starting quarterback in the NFL, you can't turn the ball over because your team is not going to win. When your offense turns the ball over, you're not going to win football games. It's that simple. So if you want to go deep in the playoffs, if you want to go to the Super Bowl, you want to play in January and February, you can't. You got to keep possession of the football. And Desmond Ritter cannot do that. He was incapable of doing so. And it cost the Falcons. So now they hired Raheem Morris to be their head coach. He was with the Falcons from like 2015 to around 2021, and he left to go be the Rams defensive coordinator. Was there, they won the Super Bowl. He's been there the last couple of years, but he comes back to Atlanta and becomes the head coach. So now, you know, he's brought in his own staff. You got Zach Robinson, who, used to be the play caller for the Rams, quarterback coach, offensive coordinator. Now he's the offensive coordinator here in Atlanta. And he said that they're basically evaluating all options for quarterback. Whether that's in the trade market through the draft, or with the guys they have in the house. I mean, which I hope he does not. I'm praying the guy Desmond Ritter is not starting next year, just for my sake and every Atlanta fan's sake, and for the team's sake. I mean, to be honest, but that's just how it goes. And so, from what I know, like the defense, they played great this year, much better than they have the past couple of years. We're a top 15 defense for the first time in a while. Ryan Nielsen, who was the former Saints co-defense coordinator, he was DC last year in Atlanta, led him to a great defense. Now he left to go be the defense coordinator at Jacksonville for the Jaguars. So now the Falcons are in an interesting spot. So it's like, you got talented players on the defense side of football. J.C. Bates, David Onyemata, Grady Jarrett, of course, A.J. Terrell, Clark Phillips, who was a great rookie last year. He's emerging. So I'm excited for what they can do defensively. Offensively is the question. Like, I know that Kyle Pitts is a freak of nature. Drake London, when he's healthy, like all these guys, like they're good football players. And Bijan Robinson, but they had nobody to get them the ball. So the quarterback position must be a priority for the Falcons this year. It has to be a priority. It has to be. They got to get another quarterback. They can't. Your starting quarterback cannot go out each week and throw an interception and fumble. Sometimes he do it in different games. Sometimes he do both in the same game. Sometimes he might throw 2 picks and fumble. He might have 2 fumbles and a pick. Desmond Ritter is just a quarterback that cannot. He's a backup at best. And that's not even me hating on him. It's just the truth. You turn on the tape, you look at the film. This is what you see. Like, Desmond Ritter is not a starting quarterback in the NFL. Now, what will the Falcons do? Will they go after Justin Fields? Possibly. It could be an option. Or will they draft a guy? I mean, they sit at the 8th pick again. So, I mean, they could trade up, try to get Jaden Daniels from LSU. His name has been circulated with Atlanta a lot recently. I wouldn't mind him. He's a decent quarterback prospect. But whatever they do, they need to be like, kind of similar to the Bears. Like, they're like I said in my episode about them yesterday. The situations are different, of course, but the same principle applies. Like, the Falcons need to be clear on what they want this team to be, what they expect this team to be. Because if they expect this team to be contending within the next couple of years, then you need to go and get your quarterback option that you feel is going to give you the best opportunity to do that. So, if they think that going and getting Justin Fields via trade is going to get them to where they need to be contending, it can make them a playoff team, if they're confident in all the other aspects of their squad, that all we need is a quarterback and we'll be fine. Okay, cool. Or if you feel like maybe we won't make the playoffs next year, but we should be better. It depends on where. Like, I think a lot of people gloss over the concept of like in the NFL and really any other professional sport, but like, you have to be able to be realistic and know where your team is at, know where your franchise is at. If you're the ownership, you're the GM, if you're the head coach, like, you have to know where your team is at, realistically know what you can do, and know your capabilities, know your strengths, know your weaknesses. And that should in turn be able to help you decide the personnel that you decide to assemble on your roster, the players that you decide to draft, the players that you decide to get free agency, the players that you decide, to get rid of or keep, right? So it's just all those things, all those moving parts, but it's important to understand that. And for the Falcons, they have to ask themselves what they think this team is going to be. They said the past couple of years that they think this is a playoff team. And I think it can be with the talent that they have, but again, it's the quarterback position. They got to get a quarterback. I mean, like all of the, positions considered, for the most part as well, like they could use an edge rusher, maybe a guy like Dallas Turner, if they decide to not trade up in the draft and select him at 8 if he's there. I wouldn't mind Dallas Turner on the edge, especially with the defense that Atlanta's trying to play here. They're going to be like in a 3-4-5. So that makes sense, add a guy like Turner on the edge and help out with that pass rush, because it is a dire need for the team, even though they improved in that aspect last year. But for me, it's just offense, man. Like, you got to get another quarterback in the building. You got to get a guy that so that is going to be able to produce. So we'll see what they do. I mean, like I said, Kirk Cousins has been a name that's been thrown around a lot too, and it would make logical sense. His wife Um, he's got family in Atlanta, and he said he likes playing in domes and stuff, right? In those indoor stadiums, and I mean, if you're talking about best quarterback on the market, like on the free agent market, Kirk Cousins is technically. I mean, you look at all the other options, there's really nothing out there. So he technically is the best option on the market right now. When free agency opens up in March, but not my preferred choice. I would rather have Justin Fields or go up and get Jay Daniels in the draft. That's what I would want here for Atlanta. Anybody, I might just even be satisfied enough for anybody but Desmond Ritter and Taylor Heineke. Just anybody besides those two guys, particularly Desmond Ritter. But go and get you a guy like Justin Fields or Jay Daniels. We'll see. Justin Fields, as I mentioned on my episode yesterday, he unfollowed the Bears on Instagram, but doesn't really mean anything. He actually came on Ross St. Brown's podcast and was like, yeah, I mean, just because I unfollowed it or don't follow doesn't mean I'm not messing. We're not, talking, we're not communicating, or I'm going to get traded. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. That's what he was saying. So, we'll see what happens. But to me, it's clear what they need to do. It's get another quarterback. Get another quarterback. Maybe get you a speedy receiver. Somebody take the top off the defense, stretch the field a little bit, because that's the type of the offensive scheme that Zach Robinson's going to run here. Coming from the Rams and coming from that Sean McVay tree. So I could expect that. I expect them to add some speed to the receiving core because they need it. But you got your back, Bijan. You got your big back, Bijan. Your electric back. You got Kyle Pitts, like I said, of course, Drake London. Like those three players are, and Tyler Algier too, coming out the backfield. He's a great runner. So you got some different pieces you can work with. But now it's like you need somebody that can get them the ball, and not get it to the other team, but to your team. So that's what I think is key for Atlanta right now. Is what they need to focus on going into 2024. I think. I mean, if they address the quarterback position correctly and they hit on it and they don't miss, whether that's, again, with Fields, with Cousins, with a rookie or whatever, then playoffs are possible. It's possible, believe it or not. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, that's just what I want to talk about today for season review for the Atlanta Falcons. So, like I said, we're going to be going on a list here of all these teams. So I'm going to be doing a season review for all 32 teams. So we've done the Chicago Bears, we've done the Falcons. So, we'll just go on the list here, and I'll just speak on those teams, and just kind of recapping their season and what they should do to get to where they want to be in 2024. So we'll see you guys next time on the podcast. Thank you for watching, listening. However you're tuning in to today's show, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Check us out here on YouTube. We're also on all audio platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, all that stuff. We're on all those podcast channels, so check us out. Follow us on IG and Twitter, TikTok to stay tuned with everything here on Jays with Down, and we will see you next time.